daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Daily Manchester United podcast. My name is Cormac and today I'm joined by Toluwa. Toluwa, how are we doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm not too bad. And also Sam. Sam, how are we doing?
Not bad, mate. Not bad in circumstances.
Yeah. So we're here after United's abysmal 1-0 loss at home to Everton. Toluwa, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on the match?
That was a hard watch, man. That was frustrating, just annoying. It's like all of the things that we've tried our best in the past 5 games to kind of get out of our system. We just went right back to default. And it's the same old. I feel like it'd be so different if Everton were, if the game was even 11v11 and they were outplaying us and we just lost based off them being better. But it's another situation where it's just another average team versus another average team. And for some reason, we can never be the better average team. We always have to struggle and try and fight our way back into the game. And it doesn't make sense to me how many times we can go from, we can beat the likes of Liverpool, we can beat Brighton, and then we play a very lackluster Everton. And it looks like we've never kicked a football day in our lives. So I'm just frustrated.
Yeah, no, share your thoughts there, Sam. Your opinion on the match.
Yeah. I mean, Toluwa's right in the fact that we are average, and the system makes us even more average. Like, it's embarrassing. Like, let's get it straight. It's embarrassing that we're 1-0 down at home to Everton and we've got 5 defenders on the pitch. It's embarrassing. I don't care if you like Almorin, if you want him to stay, if you don't want him to stay. If you are that stubborn and that sort of so in your own way of never changing your formation no matter what, it's embarrassing. And it's in front of our own eyes. He's dragging our club down and down and down that same path. I mean, the fact that you've got Luke Shaw playing at centre-back and he brings Dalot on and plays him left wing-back, and then we persist on going down that left-hand side. I mean, it's embarrassing. Like, what are we doing here? What are we at? And the thing is, like, they get 10 men and we're still not in control of the game. We never look in control ever of football matches. And this is my whole problem. Like, and I have to reiterate, I have nothing against Almorin as a person. To be honest, he's probably one of the nicest managers we've had post-Fergie. Like, he's a nice guy, honest guy. But as a football manager, he's so tactically inept, it's unreal. He has one way of playing, and that's it. And I'm not even saying it's just on him, because I also think, as I've expressed in previous episodes, our players kind of just are, okay, average is a bit harsh, but they're decent. Like I've said in previous episodes, like, I'm not having this agenda. Luke Shaw's decent centre-back. De Ligt's, he's very good. No, they're all decent. Like, we accept these standards because there's no other alternative. Whereas as United fans, we forget, actually, just because there's no other alternative doesn't mean it's right. And I feel like we fall into this trap of going undefeated for a few games and the morale's really high and we forget the actual narrative. I mean, it was the exact same last season going into the Europa League final. Everyone had this narrative of, we've had the worst season in our club's history, yet for some reason we think we can beat Spurs in a Europa League final. Like, it's that same old narrative, and I think as fans we get carried away with it. I think as, I don't know, Almorin and the players, maybe they get carried away with it. We need to go back to the start of this season. That was where the evidence lie, and the evidence is in front of us today. We couldn't dominate a 10-men Everton at Old Trafford. It's embarrassing. Like, I don't know what else you want me to say. And anyone who backs Almorin anymore, you're just in denial. I'm sorry, you might like the guy. I like the guy. And you don't want another manager to be sacked. I don't either. And it's not a good cycle that we've come into as United fans and as a club. But we have to face the facts. Like, he's been here basically a year now, over a year maybe, and nothing's changed. And clearly today is like, how much evidence do you need that the guy's never going to change? How much evidence do you need? So I don't know what you want me to say that I haven't said already.
Yeah, no, I believe it's. I agree with you fully. I believe it's actually a year since his first match in charge against Ipswich. So yeah, I think plenty of time. But no, I fully agree with you. I mean, I'm sick of watching this five back. I really am. I mean, it's we've said it time and time on here. He just doesn't adapt at all. I mean, it was clear to me. I mean, even when Ganagay got sent off, they were still winning every second ball in the midfield. And then finally halftime comes and you think, all right, he might see a bit of common sense change. And then he's just, he moves Ahmad out right wing back. Okay, for Mazraoui, it might be a little more attacking, but it's the same five at the back. And still even, Everton would just launch the ball up to Barry, and then second ball, they have Grealish or Dewsbury Hall just picking it up. And I mean,
sorry, Cormac, but that's embarrassing as well. I'm sorry.
it is.
And we shouldn't just lay blame on Almorin, because the players out there tonight were an absolute joke. The fact that we've got 3 centre-backs out there, and Tiemo Barry, let's be fair, an average Premier League striker, won the most duels a Premier League striker has won all season against a back 5. It's embarrassing. I mean, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, no, I mean, to be fair, I don't know what height Barry is, but he's a tall boy.
Tall.
I think he's taller than a lot of our defenders. But
we got 3
yeah, I agree. I mean, Shaw obviously isn't going to be helped, but Yarrow and Delict, 2 of them with no one else and their man down, should be able to deal with them a lot better. But no, my point is, bring in another midfielder there, and I would have pushed Bruno into a more attacking role, and you still leave Yarrow and Delict back there, and then you have someone covering for those second balls. But no, Amarim's just so stubborn with his system. And yeah, we went on that little bit of run, 5 games unbeaten, what it was, and I was giving Amarim a bit more benefit of the doubt. But after today, I mean, yeah, I agree with you, Sam. I don't want him really to stick around, because I just don't see that performance today. Reminded me of when we were right in that center of that terrible run last year. We can't create anything up top. And yeah, it was just, for me, I was saying to Toluwa before this, that I think is the worst result I've seen under Amarim. The fact that we're man up, and Everton done it to themselves too. You're playing against a team, they had 2 players fighting each other. How often do you see that? I know the commentary mentioned Kieran Dyer and Lee Bowyer back in the day, but that's something you don't really see, and you have to think that's affecting their heads. Michael Keane's probably rattled a bit. And then we just still let them go and score, and they come away with 3 points.
Do you know what, Cormac, as well, by the way, sorry. It's the fact that it's just no change. It just hasn't changed. And yeah, as you said, we went on that undefeated run, and okay, there was a bit there, but it's so, the most worrying thing I find is it's so evidently clear that throughout the game, in the first half, for example, there's so much evidence. You don't have to be a football manager to know that this system isn't working. The back 3 is just not clicking. Luke Shaw, by the way, is so keen to bomb down that left-hand side, but he can't, because Almorin insists, for whatever reason, by the way, to play Luke Shaw at a centre-back. I hate this agenda that he's trying to push, and this narrative of playing Luke Shaw. Look, when the hell has Luke Shaw ever played centre-back in his life? I know he's had a few games here and there under a few managers. He's a left-back. Dalot is a traditional right-back. For a start, you need to start playing players in the traditional positions. We've got, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, in this system, because he won't change, he's sort of going down. I think Gary Neville summed it up perfectly, where he's going down a sort of an empty cul-de-sac, where, like, when you bring on Dalot, that means you persist with a left back at centre back in Luke Shaw. You persist a right back at left wing back, which means Dalot has to all the time cut inside. But then when he cuts inside, Shaw's right there because no one's making the overlap, because Shaw's not allowed to make the overlap because he's a centre back. I mean, everything around the system just does not work one bit. And as I said, going to the point that I said at the start, the most worrying thing is you don't have to be a football manager to figure that out. And yet he still doesn't change. And as I said, today wasn't just about Almorin. I'm not putting all the blame on Almorin. I think it's a big blame because of the system doesn't work and the players aren't good enough to play the system. But I also think, half of the problem were the players. I mean, the passing, I don't know what you boys thought, but my God, and Almorin has nothing to do with that. That's just being a basic footballer and making you 2-yard passes. I mean, I thought it was awful. But I just thought, like, we're playing Everton at home at Old Trafford, and we set up with a back four. You've got Casemiro in front, which is another defensive player. Mazraoui is not going to like bomb forward, really. The whole setup was set up not to lose. Why are we? How the hell does Kobbie Mainoo not play this game? How does he not start? If there's a game where Kobbie Mainoo's got to start, how's he not starting? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, your lads, what do you think? I mean, I guess on Mainoo. I mean, he comes on, but
I mean, I have many thoughts. Just because I'm not quick to ever judge a system, a formation anymore. Just because, look, I'll be honest. I mean, I hear you guys. I really do. And before Amarim came in, I never believed in playing a 3 at the back. That's never been our identity. That's never been our DNA. We've never once done that. And if we had to do that, it was out of pure necessity. It was urgent. It was because we didn't have the personnel to play whatever system. So I get it for sure. But when I look at games like this, compared to the 5 unbeaten streak that we went on, I just can't say it was the system alone today. In the first half, once we went down to 10 men, I agree, we have to get an extra body in midfield. I don't think necessarily you have to switch to a back four to do that. Just ask one of your center backs to push up and occupy that space. Then we can just pin Everton back. That's what we did in the second half, and it worked. We created a lot of chances, and we missed so many chances. But at the end of the day, missing these chances doesn't really negate the fact that we played bad. We still played bad. And to give Everton the opportunity that we did, Dewsbury Hall getting that goal, I mean, that shouldn't have happened in the first place. And this comes down to just, in the moment, the players just, I don't know what's going on. How can we play like we do against Brighton and Sunderland and Liverpool? Even in the Liverpool game, we weren't at our best, but we still showed more hunger and determination. Today, like both of you said, Barry's winning headers, and the second ball is going to Grealish or is going to Dewsbury Hall, and it's like, where's our midfield? Bruno Fernandes was all over the pitch today. Like, I noticed so many times, and Mbeumo had to come in and fill his position because I'm like, what is Bruno doing? So to me, it's just the players are just on a game by game basis. It's like, I don't know what to expect. And Amarim said this in one of his pressers. He said, on a game by game basis, I don't even know what the players are going to do. Today, before I'll let you say what you're going to say, but today I noticed Amad Diallo and Mbeumo on the right-hand side normally is so dangerous. Why? Because one of them is always constantly providing that run outside. Both of them today kept staying in the same spot. They just stood there and waited and waited. On the other side, on the left, Shaw, Dalot, and Mount all did the same thing. They just stand there. And it's like, okay, even if we're playing at a 4-back, if those guys are just going to stand there, how are we going to create chances? The space was there down the wing, and we didn't use it at all. We kept trying to cut in and play balls into the middle. It didn't work. But for some reason, I don't know if it's Amarim, I don't know if it's Bruno not being a leader, nobody's talking. Nobody's really getting the message across. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say two of your points there, I guess. I agree with your point, actually, in the fact that it's not just the system alone. I never do actually think it is just the system. I think it's the system that you have to have the right players for the system. I think the system can work. It clearly worked at Sporting Lisbon, and teams have tried the system and it does work. But you need the players to play the system for it to work. And the fact that Almorin persists with the system without the players seems crazy to me, because the system only works if you have the players. So if you don't have the players, it's obviously not going to work. So I get it, but then that's where I blame Almorin in persisting with it, and why not switching it up. And then on the point of sort of the left hand side and not getting forward and pushing one centre back up, I actually think we did that in the second half, but on the wrong side. Euro was pushing forward, but for whatever reason, we persisted to go down the left-hand side, and Shaw didn't push up, so Shaw just stayed back. And then you've got Dalot going forward, but on the right-hand side, there's an overlap. Euro is going forward, but for whatever reason, Shaw was just, I was watching the comms, and again, Gary Neville, I think, summed it up perfectly, where Shaw was kind of like massaging around, kind of just like jogging around, just inside the Everton half. Get forward, bomb forward, past a lot. But that just didn't happen. But I also think, why bring Dalot on in the first place? You could have as easily as just either gone to a back four, which in my opinion I just would have done. Almorin's never going to do that, as we've seen. But okay, maybe don't do that. But put Shaw, I don't know, put Shaw at left wing, and then bring in a centre back, or I don't do something. But bringing on Dalot at left wing back, when again I go back to my point before, when he is traditionally a right back, right wing back, and also he's so one-footed. He's only right-footed. So when he does go forward, you've only got one option to cut back and to either pass it or cross it. So, and I mean, God knows, we haven't even touched on the amount of crosses we put in. That's embarrassing in itself. So.
Now, going off your point though, Sam, with Dalot being well-footed, I mean, I thought Dorgu was just horrendous to watch today, and he's left-footed on that side. Another guy strongly one-footed, but I mean, how predictable is he? He's never going inside, because even if he does go inside, he's going to dribble with his left and keep it close to the defender. But I mean, all he was doing was really trying to go down, put a cross, or else he was just, cutting back and passing it. And, he was falling over half the time. He was trying to dribble as well. But going back to some of your points, Toluwa, just kind of around the system again, I think you're spot on with, players, they just pick up the same positions. I mean, it was time and time again, you'd see Mount on the left wing. He has Dalot 5 yards below him, and then you have Shaw 5 yards below him again. I mean, Everton just need two people to defend that, and then it's like we just spend half the time going side to side, and then it's just an overload again on another side. I mean, and then you spoke about we created a lot of chances, but how many of them were actually good chances, and I feel like this system, I think it works a lot better against, the likes of Liverpool, bigger teams. When you have teams sitting back, and granted, Everton, a man down, had to sit back, but even, when we're playing, the likes of Burnley or other teams with 11 men who are going to sit back, I just feel like this system, it doesn't create the chance.
We've been saying this for weeks. I remember, I think me and you maybe did an episode last week or 2 weeks ago where we said, I think it was after a win maybe, where we said, oh, this is pretty good against the big teams. So how are we noticing that? And if Almorin is noticing it, what's going on? Why are you not changing it?
No, exactly. And I think that's the most frustrating thing, because the average fan can see it, and then the man we're paying millions to in charge of the team can't see it. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. But we'll go for a quick break and we'll come back for more United talk.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now. Your body.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Toluwa, we spoke a bit beforehand about the late absence of Matthias Cunha, and then also obviously Cesc up to 5 weeks. How much of a difference do you think they would have made today?
Huge. I mean, Cunha alone, I think, would have given us at least something that Sam was talking about before we went to break. Just give me something. Give me something out of nothing. And Cunha is that type of player. And today it was just too predictable. We spoke about it before we went to break, but if I'm seeing Amad Diallo and Mbeumo both trying to go into the same space, I'm going to get frustrated. But if Cunha's and Amad are on the same side, then I know Amad's going to go down one, Cunha's going to try and do something else. So, and Sheshko, I mean, trying to put the ball up to Xerxes, it's like, what's the point? I mean, he's awful. And I think when it comes down to it, a lot of United fans want him to be great. And it's just like you said, Sam, we kind of fall into this false sense of hope that, okay, he has a few decent performances and he's a decent player. But the reality is he's just not built for this league. So when you have, it's just like Højlund. When you have a striker you're trying to pump the ball up to hold it up and he can't really do it majority of the game, we're just going to always struggle. And then add into the fact that we have such a very open midfield. And it's just a recipe for disaster. But Cunha was such a huge miss today. And like you said, we talked about it before. When I saw the notification, I just knew like, oh man, we're going to struggle. Because when you have no creativity, for the most part, we don't really have creativity. We have directness. But we need somebody to change it up a little bit. And when he's gone, we just look kind of average.
Yeah, Sam, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Toluwa said. I mean, to be honest, if you just look at our starting lineup today, I mean, I don't like it. I don't like the look of it when you've got Xerxes coming in. Like, I feel like I go back to my point, but because I feel sort of so strongly about it, in the fact that I feel like as United fans, we sort of, we, as Toluwa said there, we have a few games and we go, oh, he's actually class, like he's really good, blah blah blah. All of our players from top to bottom, bar on the pitch today, bar Bruno and Buemo and Ahmad, they're all, and I give Lamens a pass because I actually think he's been better than decent since he's come in. I think he's played very, very good, apart from maybe he could have got a hand on that goal today. But I think if you go through our three centre-backs, our full-back, Casemiro, and then Xerxes, they're all decent on their day. And we can't settle for decent on their day, because when they're not on their day, we get performances like this. And this is the whole problem we've been having, not only this year, last year, where we settle for, De Ligt, like, and I'm not just pointing out De Ligt just because obviously we spoke about it during the game, Toluwa, but it's a perfect example of we bring players in and look, we like them as people and maybe they've had decent careers, but they're not, like, they're decent and they've always been decent. Apart from, okay, Casemiro used to be world class. Now he's decent. Euro is decent. He's not world class yet. And look, he's young, so give him a bit of a break, but he's decent. Shaw is barely decent at this point. Mazraoui, consistent, but decent. It's the same. We've just, what do we expect? What do we expect? Of course, some games we're going to play well, some games we're going to play terribly. That is what you get when you have a decent football club. I mean, I don't get what there is more to be said. And I think any United fan kidding yourself going into games thinking, oh, yeah, we're going to win this one convincingly, we're really going to win. Any United fan who's confident about going into any game, to be honest, like, I don't care if we're playing, like, if we play, I don't know who we have next, but I do know it's meant to be a fairly easy run the next couple games. Started off brilliantly. But whoever it is, I don't care if it's maybe Burnley away next weekend. You never know what you're going to get. And that's the problem. And the thing is, that is always going to be the case. That attitude of you never know what you're going to get when you have just decent, inconsistent players with a system that doesn't work, with a manager who looks so out of his depth to me. It's unbelievable. But I mean, it's the same thing I said against when we played Spurs in the final last year. It's the same thing I'll be saying now. What do you expect from that group of players, especially now where it's almost made it this attitude I speak about United fans having almost a bit worse when we bring players in like Cunha, who I think is more than decent, by the way. He is class. I think Mbeumo is class. But then the thing is, we play a few games with those class players, see what life and football's like on the other side where you have class players in your team, and then we get hope and we're like, oh, is this actually what it's like winning games and playing well? Soon as those class players are taken out and you're back to your core group, I mean, reality hits home, and that's what happened today.
Yeah. And looking at the next fixtures, so we have Palace away next, and West Ham home, Wolves away, Bournemouth home, Villa away. Next 5 games. So I mean, I feel like this is going to be tell us a lot about Amarim these next few games. I mean, obviously Wolves bottom of the table should be, but then after that, I mean, West Ham at home, I could see us giving them trouble, and then Palace away. So it'll definitely be, I think a tough run of fixtures, even if on paper doesn't look the toughest. Revert back to
Cormac, I was just going to say on that point about the fixtures, this is the whole attitude and the club and the whole problem, I think. Just last week, we were going into this run of games going, oh, we've really got a chance now of like getting top 4. We're playing really well, blah, blah, blah. And now one game, by the way, has completely 180'd that mentality. And now we're going, oh, we could struggle here. That shouldn't be the attitude of our club. We should either consistently feeling like we're going to at least like give them a good game and we should win that game, or I'd rather be on the complete opposite and be like, yeah, we're going to lose every game. I hate being this in between where will we win? Will we not? And it's just like, it's a joke that a club of our stature and where we want to get to is now in sort of this timestamp of a club where it's win, lose, win, lose. Like, it's
No, I agree with what you're saying. I think that's been, what United fans have done all through the years. But I feel like, under Amarim, we hadn't seen a run like this ever. And, we had never even won 2 games in a row. And then we go, 5 unbeaten. So I feel like then fans finally were starting to think maybe, all right, it's finally clicking now. But I think after today, again, it's just back to square one, really. And
did you say this was, you thought it was his worst result since
personally, given the circumstances that Everton, getting themselves sent off and back off the run of games we've had, and just to be a man up the whole time and to play that poorly, I thought obviously Grimsby we've had probably worse results on paper, but I just thought the way we played and the way the game they set up was set up for us to win. And the inaptability of Amarim to change anything, just I thought overall for me personally, I thought it was the toughest result to take and the worst for me.
Yeah, I mean for me it was after the Brentford game. You boys know that I basically look, I haven't given up on Almorin because I hope he succeeds. I want him to stay, but I've given up in trusting him. But genuine question, like, and I am genuinely interested. So you boys, both of you, I imagine, you still want Almorin in and you still trust him, right? Am I wrong in saying that?
Unless you go first, Toluwa.
Yeah, I'll say personally, we've had a bunch of terrible managers. And when you look at his win record, he's obviously the worst, just based off statistics. But I think he's been put in the worst position out of all the managers we've had. So it's really harsh most of the time to just put him in that conversation where, oh my gosh, he's just terrible. He's this. And I look at the squad that we have, and to be honest with you, I didn't expect a lot from this season. I didn't expect us to finish top 4 from the jump. I think the run of results kind of got into our heads, as it should. We all deserve a little bit of hope, but that turns into cope. That's just the truth. And I think this is right where we're supposed to be, hovering around mid-table, like 6th to 10th. I think that's still an improvement on what we did last season. But to be fair, like you said, when Cunha and Mbeumo or Šeško don't make the starting 11, we just have the same exact team we had last season that finished 15th. So, like, I want to give him time just based off the fact that I have not seen him actually get in a starting 11 of his own. And I agree with you on the fact that, he's playing a system that doesn't fit the current group of players we have. But my issue with that is these guys are professionals, man. They can't even do the basics. Doesn't matter what system they play. Today, how many misplaced passes did we see? Literally, the players are standing right next to each other. They can't even pass it to each other. When I see things like that, I can't blame a manager. Ten Hag was sacked because Diogo Dalot missed a wide open goal at West Ham. Not because the system was bad or because we were wide open. No, it was because the players were just bad. Let's be real. The players were bad. And they threw him under the bus, just like it's seemingly they're throwing Amarim under the bus or they threw Ole under the bus. It's just the same cycle. And a lot of the core guys that were there, are still here. Luke Shaw, you mentioned, is still here. Maguire is still here. And Bruno, I love Bruno, but Bruno was a part of that culture that was consistently getting rid of managers. He's been here since Ole. He went through Ten Hag. Now he's here with Amarim. All he's trying to do is his best, but at the same time, look at the players around him. When he goes to Portugal, it's a completely different story. If we had even a smidge of the quality level that Portugal have with this system, we wouldn't be having these conversations. We would be having conversations of, oh, we should have turned that draw into a win. But instead, we're having conversations where United are struggling against 10 men because half the players can't even do the basics. They just can't do the basics. But to answer your question, long story short, I still want Amarim to just be given some time. I want him to get in another group of players that can actually do simple things. We've brought in players like Dorgu to try and complement the system. I don't necessarily think Amarim said, I want Dorgu. But the situation that we're in, that was the next best option. And like you said, I agree with you 100%. We're just constantly like lowering our standards to fit the next best option. And at some point, that has to stop. We have to really take a look at the squad and be honest and say, you know what, you're bang average, you got to go. You're bang average, you got to go. It doesn't matter about fitting them here or there. If you're asked to do something, you adapt. When are we going to talk about the players not being able to adapt? We keep talking about Amarim, but the players can never adapt to any formation that any manager brings. They just can't. It doesn't make sense. And I'm starting to lose my patience just with everything. Man United, just everything.
Yeah. I mean, towards the end of last season, I was kind of hammering him out. But then, granted, I wanted to see him get a window. And yeah, Toluwa make a fair point. He needs a bit of time to get the players in. And then, started the season all right. And then we went on the run. And I was like, all right, here we go. But I mean, I think after today, I've come to the realization that this is a system style of play that's, first off, never going to be giving us consistent results. And we're never going to dominate or control games with it. And I feel like to be a top team, that's what they all do. And I just feel like, how long are we going to hold on for? I'm personally, I'd like to see him gone, to be honest, because I think the season's still early enough to where we can still salvage a bit. Obviously I don't like all the changes and stuff, but I just don't want to see another season like last season where we're out in February and we're just sitting around waiting until next year again, 6 months later. I mean, it's just not fair to us as fans, really. But, you can say, Amarim as well needs players, needs time. But I want to know is how come Ruud van Nistelrooy came in? He was in charge for 4 matches and he won 3 and drew 1. And then Amarim came in and couldn't buy a win in how long? I mean, I feel like if you're a top manager, you can adjust. And a big part is adaptability, seeing what you have and then changing things to that. But I mean, as we said time and time again, Amarim just firmly believes in the system and he won't do that.
I mean, you know who I'd bring in now, to be honest. Give it Ole till the end of the season again. Why not?
Listen, I don't think it could be worse, to be honest.
We love him. He loves us. Ole's at the wheel, part 2. I want that. And like the thing is, we joke around it and all that, and it's never going to happen. But if Ole came into that group right now, the vibes would be high. The fans' vibes would be high. He could do it again. He could do Ole is at the wheel part 2. He could. But the thing is, what I was going to say on that point, and especially to Toluwa, I guess, is how long do you give him then? Because this season was meant to be the season where, look, shocking season last season, but this season, look, we bring in players, we kick on now, we seem to get better. And look, I guess we've gotten slightly better up the league, I suppose. But how long do you give him until then you join the dark side?
I'll be honest. I'm not afraid to call for a manager's head if it's just not working. I'll be real. I know I come across like I'm this Amarim lover. Truth be told, Amarim is a good guy, like you said, and his tactics do confuse me a lot. I just want to see somebody succeed at United, and he seems like the next best candidate. But to answer your question, I think the fact that other teams in the league are struggling is giving Amarim a lot more time because Liverpool, Manchester City, Tottenham, they're all losing games too. The table is so tight that really any week you could find yourself in the top 4 or you could find yourself in the bottom half. I think if Amarim doesn't get consistently, or if he doesn't stay consistently in the top 7, by January or February, or probably January, because you'd want to, get some changes and get some transfers in. I think, yeah, you got to make a change. I think if we're languishing in the bottom half come January 1st, yeah, there's no need to try and force, I guess force Amarim down our throats. Even though I want to see him get given to the end of the season, it's just like at some point, like, yeah, you're gonna have to cut the losses. If it's not working at that point, it's been what, a year and a half,
Yeah.
or no, just a little bit over a year. So at that point, if it's just, yeah. But then I think to myself, who would we bring in? Who's gonna come
That
in?
was going to be
I know you said Ole, but I actually want, a long-term solution, not just another quick fix. If we get, let's say for example, Ole comes in, if that ever happens,
just till
and
the
we
summer.
finish,
Just till the summer.
of course, and we finish top 6, and then he leaves in the summer, we sign a new manager. Let's say we end up in the same situation again. So I don't know. It's tough. It seems like right now United take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. Then they'll take 4 steps forward and maybe 1 step back. And that's when we get into that hope. We're like, okay, United are playing better. And then one bad result, it's like, oh my gosh, we're right back to where we started.
Well, bro,
So,
who do we bring in January then? Do you realistically,
player wise or manager wise?
player wise? Because obviously you said give Almorin January, see if he can bring in anyone. One, I guess, who do we bring in? And two, do you realistically think we're going to bring in a lot of change?
I mean, realistically, we don't have to sign. I see a lot of people talking about Wharton and Baleba and Anderson. We don't have to sign £100 million players every single time. Why can't we dip into the loan market and find a player who's not maybe on the fringes, but can still do a job for us? If we're getting linked to players like Conor Gallagher, I'd bring him in. That's an engine in midfield that we desperately need.
I mean,
We just need,
Spurs got Paulinho in the summer.
yeah,
on loan.
that would have been a perfect signing for us. I don't know why we were sleeping on that. And so many of these cheap options, we can even dip into the championship and get somebody who's just outperforming that league and see if he can come and do a job. We're playing once a week. If we can, Michael Keane today was the best player on the pitch. Michael Keane.
Yeah.
The amount of interceptions and tackles he made, if he can do that, he's average. He's so dang average. But today we made him look like Puyol and PK. I just don't get it. So if teams can do that, why can't we do that? Find a cheap alternative that can just outperform all of these big money signings. But for some reason, we just have to go and sign a £100 million player. If I was to bring somebody in, I'd bring in a Gallagher if he's available. Go and bring in someone on loan, someone in the Premier League who's not playing for their team right now. Bring in a midfielder. I know Lavia was one of those players, João Gomez for Wolves. Bring somebody in that can just change the dynamic, because right now, we're just too predictable in certain games. There are teams like Everton, like David Moyes, who will be happy to sit back and defend. And once that happens, it's kind of like we short circuit. So we need players who can just push the envelope, like Cunha. We need more players who are inventive, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just to bounce off that, in terms of, I mean, I was just thinking of names when you were talking there. I mean, in the summer, I mean, obviously Everton got Grealish. I mean, we were never going to get Grealish, but on loan, Jack Grealish, very good signing.
Very good.
Paulinho for Spurs, very good signing.
Yeah.
Position that we needed, by the way, and we didn't bring in. So yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that, but I just don't know. I just don't know who we can even bring in. I mean, I think if we have a lot of problems and I mean Arsenal. Sorry, another one where I watched a North London derby yesterday. Their two backup centre backs in Hepache and Mosquera, absolutely class, and we couldn't even get one of them. And yeah, I think the thing is with me, I think that we have sort of areas we need to fix all over the pitch. So in my opinion, if we do keep Almorin, I would rather sort of, well, I mean, we can start in Jan, but I don't think it's going to happen in January because not much big business ever happens. But to me, I'm looking at, we need a world-class centre-back, like a leader who really dominates that whole defence. We need another midfielder. Let's be fair, Casemiro and Mainu just aren't cutting it right now. Fullbacks is an issue because I know we spoke about Dorgu, and yeah, I mean, to be honest, he's another Wan-Bissaka in my eyes. I mean, he's decent. He's okay. He's not bad. But the thing is, he is young. So again, like I'll let him off. I won't go too harsh on him because he is young. But I mean, he looks like Bambi on ice, exactly like Wan-Bissaka on the left-hand side. And you know the worst thing about tonight, lads? The worst thing about tonight, was the thing is the opposition team even tried to self-sabotage and fight themselves, and we still lost. So what did you make of the red card, by the way, Cormac?
I mean, to be honest, I didn't even know what happened. I heard cheering. I think they were on a replay at the time. And then I thought Idris Gana hit someone like a United player. And then they show it. I mean, what just unbelievable. It's such a rare occurrence. You never see that happen. The fact he just slapped Keane.
Do you think it was a red card or?
To be honest, it was a bit soft, but
yeah, that's what I thought.
I mean, with the rule stipulations and by the letter of the law, I mean, it was, a hit to the face. Yeah. So, I mean, the ref really has no choice. But, I mean, I would love to have heard that dressing room after that.
It made me think, actually, like, what would happen if that was Sir Alex and that was one of his players. Oh my.
Yeah, you're getting exiled for a while, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah. But no, anyway, lads, I had a good chat here today. We'll hear your final thoughts, Sam, on just moving forward for United before we wrap up the episode.
Final thoughts. What a question. I mean, same thoughts as it's been prior to this game, and the same thoughts that I'll have the whole time. Almorin's probably under United in the manager's position. I mean, I just don't think it's going to work. I just haven't seen anything that the squad, the system, the players, everything, the combination of everything, I just don't think it's going to work. I've seen no evidence of it working. Okay, we've had a few good games here and there, but that's always going to happen. We're not going to lose every game. And I just don't know where we go from here. I mean, this has given me, probably like a lot of United fans and even people who were on the fence of maybe supporting Almorin, I think this game has given us a massive insight into how stubborn and how pragmatic he will be in terms of sticking with this formation and with the system. I mean, if you're not changing your formation when we're 1-0 down against 10-men Everton at Old Trafford at half-time, that should give you all the evidence you need that this manager will never change the way he will play. And to me right now, I don't enjoy that football at United. I don't think it's working. It's not working. So I don't really know what more to say, to be honest, and where we go from here.
Yeah, 100% agree with you, Sam. Toluwa, your final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame Sam at all for that, for the way he feels, because honestly, it's just embarrassing. Like I said, it'd be a completely different story if Everton came here and just completely outplayed us. Then we could sit here and say, you know what? We just weren't at it. We weren't good enough. We didn't have what it takes to outplay Everton, which would be crazy to say. But the truth of the matter is Everton didn't come here and outplay us. They quite literally did what Grimsby did. They just did the basics right. That's it. They did what they had to do, and they sat back the rest of the game. And for some reason, we just cannot break down teams that do that. It's a problem that we've had since Amarim, but it's a problem that has been really put under the magnifying scope while Amarim has been here. So it's not good. And I think moving forward, I'm still not Amarim out, just because when the system works, it works well. We win games. We win convincingly sometimes. Not enough to say that this is where Man United should be, but I think coming from where we were last season, we have improved. I don't think anybody can doubt that. There's still areas of our game that we need to fix. And I think today showed that. It wasn't just how pragmatic we were going forward, but these lapses of concentration are really starting to get on my nerves. Because how many times can we talk about, oh, this player was ball watching, or this player wasn't doing his job, he wasn't tracking back? It's just basics. It's annoying. And Cormac, you said it perfectly about Amarim. If we can see these things, and we're not getting paid millions, but he's getting paid millions, I'm thinking about, what are the players thinking? They're getting paid way more than Amarim. But for some reason, it's like they cannot comprehend anything that he's saying or them on the pitch. It's like they don't know what they're doing half the time. It's just vibes sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I think moving forward, all it takes for United, whether Amarim changes the system or not, whether the formation changes or not, I think all it's going to come down to is we need to just stop conceding goals. I think that's the first thing that needs to happen. And I know it's easier said than done, but we've shown that we can sit compact and frustrate teams. Half the goals that we've conceded in the past 2 or 3 games, you cannot sit here and say was because we got outplayed. It was nonsense. Players were ball watching. Players were not concentrating. That's all it's been this entire season. The goal against Arsenal, it wasn't because Arsenal played through our lines. Even Liverpool, it's just nonsense. We concede nonsense. And if any other team in the league was conceding the amount of goals that we were, the way we were, there would be a huge conversation to be had, not about the manager, but about how the players just do their jobs on the pitch. I'm looking at Liverpool. They have a way better team than us. You can't sit here and tell me that they're not playing well because their players are bad. They're not playing well because, for one, they have no midfield. For some reason, Slot has decided to abandon their midfield. And then the players are not buying into what he's doing. I think it's the same thing that's happened here. The players just don't buy into Amarim half the time. But it's not just Amarim. They won't buy into any system. So it blows my mind. I think if that's the case, okay, we can get to the end of the season and scrape. Let's just stop conceding silly goals and move forward. I think once those
Toluwa, do you know how crazy it is for you to say that the main problem is to stop conceding goals and we have 5 at the back? We literally
that's the problem.
have the maximum defenders we can have in a formation. And I agree with you. The biggest problem is we're conceding. So surely is that not the formation, the system?
No, because we did the same thing under Ten Hag. We didn't
play 5 at the back.
We played four and shipped goal after goal after goal after goal.
Yeah, but Almorin. But the thing is, Almorin's been brought in, and he's gone. You know what? To make that more solid, I'm going to add an extra defender, and by the way, put Casemiro in there as like a DM, and we're still conceding goals. So I don't know.
But the problem is with that is you can add another defender, you can take another defender. It's the way we're conceding that's the problem. Under Ten Hag, we weren't conceding based off errors leading to goals. We were getting outplayed. We were getting ran through the middle of the pitch. Under Amarim, the amount of goals that we concede based off silly errors is actually mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. We concede so many ridiculous goals. The 2 goals against Nottingham Forest, I mean, that's schoolboy. We could go on the pitch right now and mark our man and they wouldn't score. That's the problem I have. And you're right. Having the extra center back and we're still conceding goals makes no sense. I texted my friend that a year ago today. When we're conceding goals against silly, poor teams and we have 5 defenders, I'm thinking to myself, why are we playing a 5-back if we're still conceding goals?
Yeah.
The problem is it doesn't matter if we play a 5, a 3, a 4. We're still going to concede. That's the issue. That's the players just don't concentrate for a full 90. Everton, they sat back. Jack Grealish was defending this whole game. You will never see our left winger or left 10 do that. They'll just stand up there and wait for the ball to come on the counter. They'll do that every time. And we concede goals like this on a regular basis. I think the second we stop conceding goals like that, it'll give Man United some type of platform to say, hey, we can actually stop other teams. We just need 1 goal to win the game. Everton just needed 1 lucky long shot to win the game. It wasn't like they outplayed us again, but that's all it takes. So long story short, I've been rambling. Moving forward, we got to stop conceding these goals, man. We really do. We got to stop giving the ball away and conceding goals. And then from there, I think we have what it takes to at least beat half the teams in this division. The other 10 teams, we can either lose, win, or draw. But I think we have what it takes to beat the bottom 10. For some reason, we just struggle against them. I don't know why. I think you guys are spot on. It's up to Amarim to encourage his players to do something different. He has to change something about that system. If we're playing a bottom team, I agree. I'm tired of seeing a back 3 against rubbish teams. I'm tired of seeing a back 3 against 10 men. We played a back 3 against 10 men against Chelsea, and we were worse in the second half. So I'm tired of it too. I agree.
I mean, Toluwa, our whole DNA is to attack, right? Our whole club,
I agree.
Our whole club sort of ethos is you hear the crowd today chanting attack, attack, attack.
Yep.
And when you set up with 5 at the back at Old Trafford with Casemiro as a DM against Everton, what message does that send out? And you bring on Delort at left back. You swap your left wing backs for whatever reason because you think that's going to make an impact. And we've seen in previous games him swapping his centre backs. So I mean, forgetting Almorin and forgetting these players for a minute, go back to the basics of just our club. I mean, our whole success was brought off being an attacking team, outscoring the opponent, and you know, just attack, basically. And we brought in a manager who, in my opinion, brings the whole mentality of the opposite way, where, in my opinion, he goes into games thinking, how do we not lose this game, instead of how do we not win this game? And like I said, you had Mazraoui, which Ahmad could have played right wing back, and you know, we played Mount up there, or to have that more attack, but he plays Mazraoui. We played Casemiro in there when Kobbie Mainoo is the more attacking option and could have played, you know, and then we play 5 at the back. And then the whole system for a start is defensive. So, I mean, I completely agree what you said, and you as well, Cormac, and I think we're all in agreement where it's a combination of everything, right? It's the players aren't good enough. As you said, Toluwa, they can't do the basics. We've seen that on many occasions where in random games, they just basically have a day off. I mean, against Grimsby was the perfect example. That's where the Grimsby game for me was the realization that maybe you're having today, where I was looking at those players against Grimsby and I was like, you don't need a system to beat Grimsby when you're Man United. You just score goals and that's it. So for that game, I agree with you where they couldn't do the basics. Today, I'm more like, they didn't do the basics at time, but you're playing a mid-table Premier League team. You need a bit of help from your coach. You need a bit of tactics, a bit of, look, when you're struggling on the pitch, you need the guy on the sideline. You need to look over and be like, what do? We need a plan B. And I just think we have no plan B when plan A goes horribly wrong like it did today. So, yeah, I think it's a combination of a lot.
Yeah. I think the performance today was summed up, I think, by Ahmad standing on the pitch taking a throw in at the end. And I think that was the perfect way to sum up all the slappiness and mistakes we've seen today. I mean, it was just dreadful all around. But anyway, thanks for joining me, lads. Hopefully we'll be back the next match review with a much more positive outlook. But yeah, thanks to everyone for listening, and I will see you on the next episode.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.